Chicago, Illinois, Denver, Colorado, Dallas, Texas, Indianapolis, Indiana, Pittsburgh, Mississippi, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Charlotte, North Carolina, Memphis, Tennessee, Baltimore, Maryland, Scottsdale, Arizona, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Buffalo, New York, San Francisco, California, Atlanta, Georgia, home for the 1223rd annual National Black Business Conference. It's going to be held at the Hyatt Regency in downtown Atlanta. That's going to be on August the 23rd and the 27th, 2023. This will be the largest Black Business Conference in the nation for Black business. So that's taking place, and welcome you to launch the Super Team Conference for July 28th. Thank you for my name is Aaron Folks, your host and creator. Over the other out of house. And hey, you real? Bye. And how's the family doing? Bye. That's good. And Brother Scott, how you doing today, sir?
I am way too blessed to be distressed.
Well, Scott, you know, you rarely get distressed anyway, so that's always a good sign. Okay. And also, you know, we're happy to hear that. And also, like I said, we're broadcasting live on Freedom USA, HotTower.com. Beautiful Centurion, that's in North County, and also from North City, St. Louis, and also on Missouri. And I would thank you for joining us on this beautiful Saturday afternoon in our neighborhood, likewise in yours. And without further ado, we'll have prayer for all the Laos, the pastor of one of the 4th Baptist Chapter Church, and located at 5547 Little Avenue in St. Louis, Missouri, 63120. And the prayer today, and the lesson today will be that we'll go to our Laos, the pastor of one of the 4th Baptist Chapter Church, that's in North St. Louis, and 5547 Little Avenue, 63120. GPS, the next report you hear other than that will be that of the Allen Lounge, also one of the Baptist Immigration, also a co-host of the Super Camp Conference. Without further ado, Allen Lounge, how you doing today, sir? Fine. What you have for us today, sir?
Bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for waking us up this morning. Most of all, we thank you for your wonderful gospel, how that Christ died for our sin, was buried and rose again. I continue believing to the saving of the soul. Continue to make heaven your home before you sleep and after you sleep. Heavenly Father, we ask you to bless the sick all over in the universe. Heavenly Father, we ask you that souls get saved. As I speak today in your most darling Son, Jesus' name, and the Holy Spirit, the Spirit to be saved all over the universe. Heavenly Father, we know everything is in your hand, and we love you because you first loved us. Heavenly Father, we just going to introduce you to the people today in your most darling Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Real thankful for that beautiful prayer, sir, and especially all of you today. May God give us another day to serve Him. So what you got today, this prayer?
The theme is always the same. Jesus Christ, our Savior. Always praising Him and putting Him first. His death, His burial, and His resurrection. Man, from death unto life before we sleep and after we sleep. No guarantee that we go to heaven on that. It's saying another word. And the subject is Romans. First chapter of Romans, the theme. The theme is Jesus Christ our Savior. Okay. Paul, a servant of Jesus Christ, called to be an apostle and separated unto the gospel of God. See, the book of Romans is talking about the gospel of God. You know, the book said, if our gospel be hid, it's hid to them that are lost. But the gospel is written from Genesis to Revelation. It's all in the book, everywhere. They go on to say, which he had promised afore by his prophets in the Holy Scriptures, concerning his Son, Jesus Christ our Lord, which was made of the seed of David according to the flesh. Now, you know the seed of David? People just write this down and read it on your time. The seed of David, and go right back to Matthew, the first chapter, and read that all the way through. And you'll find about the seed of David.
Oh, yes.
And declared to be the Son of God with power, according to the Spirit of holiness, by the resurrection from the dead, by whom we have received grace and apostleship for obedience to the faith among all nations for his name, among whom are ye also the call of Jesus Christ, to all that be in Rome, in love of God, called to be saints. Grace to you and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. First, I thank my God through Jesus Christ for you all, that your faith is spoken of throughout the whole world. For God is my witness, whom I serve with my spirit in the gospel of his Son, that without ceasing I make mention of you always in my prayer. Make a request, if by any means, now at length I might have a prosperous journey, by the will of God to come unto you. I long to see you, that I may impart unto you some spiritual gift, to the end you may be established. That is, that I may be comforted together with you by the mutual faith, both of you and me. Now I would not have you ignorant, brethren, that oftentimes I propose to come unto you, but was led hitherto, that I might have some fruit among you also, even as among other Gentiles. In other words, the Gentiles is not left out. That's the mystery of the church. Gentiles gonna be saved. See, they thought it was just gonna be the Jews. The Jews just thought he was coming to set up the kingdom with them, and that was it. But no, they didn't know God's plan. God's plan was Gentiles in there too. And Gentiles is in the bloodline too, as well as the Jews, the Hamathites, the Jebusites, the Gerasites, the Hittites, etc. I have never spoke to the Greeks. They in there too. But God loves the creature and his own. To the barbarian, and to the unwise, for as much as in me is, I am ready to preach the gospel to you that are in Rome also. I'm going to preach the gospel to you in St. Louis, Missouri, the death, the burial, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. That's the only thing that's going to save you and get you to heaven before you sleep and after you sleep. For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believeth, to the Jew first and also to the Greek. For therein is the righteousness of God. You know the righteousness of God? It's the blood. It's that bloodline. That's the blood of Jesus. Oh, how precious is flow. Yes, sir. The blood. I know it was the blood. Blood is the life of the body. But therein is the righteousness of God revealed from faith to faith, as it is written, the just shall live by faith. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness unseen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. So the people ain't got no business saying, I ain't never heard the gospel. Well, the gospel is being preached. All over the universe, the gospel is being preached, and it's not hidden to you. It's hidden to you when you're lost, but when you're saved, it's not hidden to you. And they go on to say, because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were they thankful, but became vain in their imagination, and their foolish heart was darkened. That's what unbelief do for you. Darken you. When you unbelief, you was unstable in all your ways. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. They changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like the corruptible man. You know, the image made to corruptible man is talking about these idols out here, these statues and stuff of different people that they got talking about praising them. So, oh, he's a great man. He ain't great nothing. He's a wicked sinner. And he needs to be born again and saved. From the president on down. And change the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image, corruptible man, into birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things. Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves. That's what he did to the people in Sodom and Gomorrah. Those two cities. That's what God did to them. He destroyed them. Like he gonna destroy the United States. Because the United States is following right behind that track. And it ain't gonna be in prophecy. Who changed the truth of God into a lie, and worship and serve the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. For this cause, God gave them up unto vile affection. For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. That's what's happening right now, all in the universe. All over the world, they doing that wicked stuff. God forbid you to do that thing. And likewise, also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman. Talking about these homosexual, gay rights, all these wicked people out here, these Sodom and Gomorrah people running around here, trying to grow and make it better. That's why God destroyed them. And likewise,
you know, real one of the things we talk about all the time, okay? The United States of America is the youngest nation in the world right now. I mean, in terms of, less than 300 years old. And most of the countries over 50,000 years, it goes back, that history that is documented. And so we the young kids on the block.
yep. Y'all better get right out there. People. Hear thee, this wonderful gospel. How that Christ died for your sin, was buried, and rose again. Believe that, get saved before it's ever too late. Do not promise tomorrow, and neither not the rest of this day. But you that are out there, you hear this, get saved. All it is, God requires you to believe. It's death, burial, and resurrection. You pass from death into life before you sleep and after you sleep. And worship and serve the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. For this cause God gave them up unto vile affection. For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men leaving the natural use men working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error, which was meat. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient, being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whispering, backbiting, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents. They really disobedient to their parents. They say, oh, save our kids, but the kids is hard-headed. They stiff-necked too. When the parents ain't teaching them, they need to teach their kids. That's what's wrong with their parents. They just want to, I don't want to do this here. I don't want that to happen. I want them to feel like you treat them like God said treat them. Love them and chastise them. Disobedient to parents without understanding. Covenant breakers without natural affection. Implacable, unmerciful, who knowing the judgment of God, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them. Amen.
Well, amen. Real, you brought some message today, because again, for so long, Real, especially, nowadays, I see a lot of people, want to treat their kids, as their friends, one thing I have a problem with, sometimes people want to have their daughters or their sons, all them on a first name basis, you know what I'm saying? I just can't get ready for that. You know what I'm saying? His daddy, his mama, it's not, I just said okay, and I will tell you this, that happens, okay. Most times you see that down the road, okay, there be issues they have to deal with. Amen. That respect kind of fades away. And that's you can't be those treat your kids like your friends. There's a separation between child and his parents.
Yes, sir.
And that's where we are right now. With our young, we got some issues that we got to deal with. But anyway, we have kids, they raising babies down there, and that's the thing that we gotta, that's really the lay of the land. So again, there's a whole lot of issues out here that's creating more issues that they have to be dealt with. And we just stand our time, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's a whole, it's a whole lot of people, the kids out here, walking right and trying and doing what their parents had taught them. And it's so, oh yes, I don't know. Emphasis on the one that they see doing all the wickedness. But it's some children out here, all children not the same. All children want some joy out of life. They want to enjoy Christ and everything. And they doing that all over the universe. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. Well, we want to thank you for that beautiful message today. And we thank you for, from the Bible. We don't really learn from that. And you listen to lunch with them, so much your comments. That's, the Allen Lyles. That's Scott on. My name is Allen, folks. You can get them live on USA.com. And Scott, take it out of here. presented by Chamber of Commerce for a beautiful Saturday afternoon in St. Louis, and I hope it's nice where you are. But I will tell you this. This has been one of those weeks that a lot of people will not ever forget. And I say that because this has been the hottest week on record for the last 4 days in a row. We have broken the records, okay? The heat, and I said heat records. I'm talking about not just in the United States, okay, but around the world. You know, this is unbelievable. You know, the planet has reached its hottest days ever recorded, as regions all over the world endure dangerous heat. On Thursday, the record was broken at temperature measured at 16.2 degrees Celsius, or 61.16 degrees Fahrenheit. And today is not over for us here today, okay, because again, I mean, this may be another record, who knows, but right now, as we're watching this, and really right now, we're now in what they call uncharted waters. You hear about climate control, you hear about, climate change. Well, all I can tell you now is they're having more, at the North Pole and the South Pole, we have more waters sliding, melting from the glaciers, and the temperatures of the waters get hotter and hotter and hotter, and that's creating a whole lot of, like here in St. Louis this past week, okay, we had some very serious winds that in our community, making my neighborhood, Woodson Terrace, okay, you got to thank God I was mad at Woodson Terrace. We had trees all over my neighborhood, Scott River already. And I was without power, for about 3 or 4 days, so we asked to pray for people, right now. Well, in other parts of the country right now, we're experiencing heat waves. It's a very serious thing to deal with, down in the South, like down in Texas, Louisiana, along that whole southern coast there. It is very, very, very hot. And to make matters worse, okay, this past 4th of July, it was overshadowed as over 20 people were killed in mass shootings. Over 20 people lost their lives in 4th of July. And there were over 126 people were injured across 13 states, plus Washington, D.C. We had 22 mass shootings across the country according to Gun Violence Archive. That's a website you may want to look at. It's called Gun Violence Archive. Gun Violence Archive. Gun Violence Archive. It's a website that tracks shootings nationwide. And according to the statistics there, this was one of the deadliest 4th of July in a very long time. And I said earlier, in some places like St. Louis, we had storms and damaging winds over the 4th of July. This past weekend, we had the 4th of July on a Tuesday, and some people had the opportunity, to have a Monday vacation day. They had a pretty long holiday. But during that same time period, so far to date, I should say, in our country, we have had, listen to this figure, confirmed 827 tornadoes in the United States so far this year. There are 827 tornadoes. And that doesn't count, all the street winds and other the small things like that. And also that so far we have lost 74 lives. So again, weather is something that's taking its toll on our country, and that's not the worst of it. As we have this conversation right now, the Canadian wildfire smoke that is right now is still coming across our borders from the north. Well, we're going to add to that right now in Africa now, the Sahara Desert. They have dust storms now that are crossing the ocean in our way, Rev. All the way from the desert, they have those sandstorms, those sand clouds, and it's going to affect the southeast. And so I would say one thing to everyone out here now, this means bad weather. So you got a face mask. I would suggest you kind of wear it when you're outdoors because it will go a long ways in making you your breathing and your health. Because some places you have your weather report meteorologists will tell you that they have good air quality today. So to watch that and protect yourself is very, 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 very important. And also, because that's always have to look at and be careful about, when it is taking place. And it is very, very important. And also, another thing that's taking place here is war in Ukraine. President Zelensky is making a tour right now around the world. I think it's another 50 countries and then the NATO countries. And most recently, he visited the country of Turkey. And in there, he got a president of Turkey, Erdogan. Now, he has been very close to President Putin of Russia for the last couple of years. And right now, as we look at the countries that are supporting Russia now, very few are doing that now. But if you're not aware, President Putin is right now, he can't leave this country openly, I should say, because of the criminal courts, he's a wanted man. So he can go certain place, he could be arrested. So right now, the world is not actually, being nice to Russia. Although right now they're still taking their toll on Ukraine. They still continue to bombing, and there's some discussion going on now, even as we speak, okay, about the type of bombs, that they could be ammunition, I should say, that our country will be supplying there. And this is an ongoing war that has continued much longer than anyone thought it would go. But in doing that, okay, it's creating a whole lot of issues. But having said that, Ukraine has been much, much tougher than Russia had anticipated, and really is actually holding its own in some regard. And also, as we speak about Russia, okay, Russia, most recently, we talked about this on the show a couple of weeks ago, they had like a coup d'etat. Well, also the government went Goshen. Now, Mr. Goshen is a person that's with the oligarch. That's one of the billionaires in Russia, one who was very close to Putin. And he is also the head of the Wagner Group. He's the president of that, the chief of they want to call it. And the Wagner Group is a group of mercenaries that have fought, still fighting all around the world on behalf of Russia. And I'm over in South America, different countries right now. But they were the ones doing most of the fighting this past year or so. Well, right now, I think we celebrate 500 days of the war with Russia right now, with Ukraine and Russia. It's been 500 days. But most of the serious fighting that was taking place there was being done by the Wagner Group. And most times they became a little falling out between Russia and the Wagner Group, and that Mr. Putin decided he wanted to prioritize them and make them soldiers in the in his army, because he had a problem recruiting new soldiers. Because he had a draft after this war went on for about almost a year or so. He put out a draft, and most of the young men, I should say, all of them Russian. They could fly, they got out flying, they took the trains out, they drove out. Anywhere they could get out of there, they left Russia. So that means he had to kind of build up his army again. And that's when he decided to want to take over the Wagner Group and make them soldiers in his army. So Mr. Prigozhin decided that he wasn't going for it, and so he went into Russia. And this was unheard of, people. He actually went into Russia, and it was almost 120 miles from the Kremlin. where the power was seated of government in Moscow and had no resistance as he was kind of over the government. And so that's the history there now. The question now is, okay, he stopped, without overturning over the government and made a deal, whereas he's not, overthrowing the government, and he stood down and went back to Belarus. Well, supposedly he went back to Belarus. Now they're trying to find out, where did he go? Is he in Russia or where? But this man has billions of dollars at his disposal, so he probably got his own private jets and all that stuff, So I'm quite sure he's someplace listening to us around the world, okay, saying, never find me, or he may be in Russia up on the Gulf, who knows? But yeah, well, right now, somebody knows where he's at, Rep, Somebody knows where he's at.
They ain't gonna tell them what they doing.
No, they're not. Okay. But anyway, so that's what's going on over there with Russia and Ukraine. There's a lot abroad, but now this week, okay, as we speak now, U.S. Secretary, Treasury Secretary, I should say, Janet Yellen, she's in China right now, and she's there he's called on a peace mission. She's over the Treasury. And what she's trying to do right now is kind of put down some of the tension that we have with China. Because right now we're the number 1 and 2 powers in the whole world now, and like in business, in a whole lot of ways, China's about a lot of real estate in our country, and so now the president just got reelected, and so now there's been off and on. You read about this in the news, the tidbits, but the Chinese government have been kind of broaching or getting coming flying real close to a lot of our airplanes that are flying on the borders of Taiwan. And the reason is that China wants to annex Taiwan to his country. And the reason that is, Scott, hear me out, make sure I'm right here. Taiwan is like Cuba was to the United States. It's very, very close. And right now, that is a base for the United States government. The United States government, okay, is right off of the coast of China. And so their president wants to do away with that. And so that's where all the tension started initially is now, not about the other thing, but it's what's going on, okay, with Taiwan. So keep your eyes on that, because now they have these different, even in the war games they have, because right now you have some of their ships getting close to our ships in the ocean there, in neutral waters. So a lot is going on, okay, in our country. But the good thing about this is, okay, the United States has one of the largest armies, navies in the whole world. And so right now, we are protected. And that's why we always have to pray for all of our soldiers. That's what that Reb, I thank you for you serving, and Scott likewise. And honestly, the president serving right now in our government, in our force. We appreciate them. Also, closer to home, this is kind of funny, but it's not funny. Twitter, which was purchased by Elon Musk. Elon Musk, last year or so, he bought it from Mr. Dorsey, that's located, he was from St. Louis, for about $40 billion. Well, Elon Musk is one of the richest men in the world. As a matter of fact, if you're not aware, he's also into the car business. Also, he's one about the cars that he has, but also he's in the business of putting satellites into the orbits. And his satellites, it's a rocket that he used. Pretty much right now is the main source for the United States getting our rockets and getting our satellites up into orbit now. and not only our country, but also other countries. So really, he's a very, very rich man. And also his money at Twitter, $40 billion to him is not a lot of money, but right now he's having in the last year or so, he's kind of did a lot of things that lost a lot of people, the people that made Twitter work, like the sales staff. Well, he cut like half of the staff, and he let they go, changed the whole climate in Twitter around, and lost a lot of business. And he continue making new rules every day, almost every day, so to speak. Well, right now, Meta, which is owned by Mr. Zuckerberg from Google, well, they have come out with their own service to compete with Twitter, and it's called Thread. And already in 1 week, Scott, you can take technology. Am I saying this right way, Scott?
Yes, sir.
Almost got over. Go ahead, Scott.
No, go ahead, please.
Am I right so far? What I'm saying about Twitter and Thread, that Thread right now has over 70 million new users to their service. 70 million new people that has gone to their service already. And so now it gets interesting now because Mr. Musk right now is wanting to sue Mr. Zuckerberg. So I should say he's threatening to sue. And sue them yet, okay? But that's something that right now that's in the making. So again, watch that how that goes on. And Twitter right now has been one of the mainstays of how people communicate on their Twitter accounts. And he's still making money, don't get me wrong. And it's still used by a lot of people. But right now, to have 70 new members are taking place, okay, there's Thread, it's something that's going to be new. And we're going to talk about it a little bit later on. We have an IT person on the show in Spain. This is exactly how that's playing out, And but right now, you got to keep your eyes on that. And also something that's very, very pertinent to us. We talked about this for the last couple of weeks now. There's still no solution, and there's possibly maybe a strike between the teachers and UPS. Now, that will bring the country a whole lot of headaches because almost everybody depends on UPS for some type of service. And also, with the investigation with Jack Smith, the special counsel for the Justice Department. Well, right now, Mr. Walt not. He's President Trump, former President Trump's valet, but he went to court this past week and pleaded not guilty, and he faces over 38 counts of indictment with President Trump. Now, he was guilty of removing boxes of documents at the Mar-a-Lago estate as well as other places. And right now, they got all this on video. And so this is going to get even worse, so it's over with. And so keep your eyes on that. Well, you can't help but miss it because it's being talked about. Now also, former President Trump has his allies, especially in Congress now. Former Speaker of the House right now, Mr. McCarthy, is kind of in an awkward position in that he's now refusing to endorse President Trump. Well, once you get the title of president, that's yours for life. President Trump's, for his campaign to be reelected. And so one of his staunchest supporters for McCarthy was a lady by the name of Marjorie Greene. Well, unfortunately for her, she has said some mean things about some people. And Marjorie Greene, who's a Congress lady from the state of Georgia, said some mean things. And so she's part of a committee in Congress called the Freedom Committee. Well, this past week or so, they decided to vote her out because of the language that she used on the floor. And so that's changing in Congress right now, as well as around the country, as we watch what's taking place. And also, one of the things we have to bring up here, the state of Florida, the governor, DeSantis was running for president also. Well, in the state of Florida, his policies right now are creating a lot of havoc because now the state of Florida is kind of been given the title of unfriendly political environment. Over a half dozen ventures have been canceled, in around Fort Lauderdale area. And also, I can speak for a fact, two of our members who were traveling in that area down in the Fort Lauderdale area were pulled over, stopped, almost arrested because they looked like they could have been, these were females, because they looked like they could have been immigrants. And so that's something not good. And also, closer to home, a good friend of mine, a former Missouri State Senator, who was represented by Quincy Truth, passed at the age of 87 years old last week. He was a good friend and for the community of St. Louis. He will serve 12 terms in the Missouri State Representative. And also in St. Louis, the alderman passed a bill that's about to be passed that will kind of limit the amount of guns on the city streets. And this, along with other efforts, should be able to kind of curb some of the problem we have on city streets with the young people carrying guns. And also in St. Louis, Missouri, and in St. Louis County, carjacking and murder continue to rise. That's a lot to keep your eyes on the prize, that we all need to stay positive and watch where you go out. Listen to lunch with the Little Chin Commerce Way, beautiful Saturday afternoon. You got 8, my name is Alfred, that's Scott, that's Real. And we'll be right back with our special guest. I think it's out of here. Bye. Welcome back to the Lunch with the Missouri Commerce Way. Beautiful Saturday in the city of St. Louis. I hope it's nice where you are. This week, we've been privileged to have a very, very, very special guest as our guest this weekend. First of all, let me say this much about her. She is a trendsetter. She does some things that very few people have done. And she's been involved in telecommunication and the cable industry for a very long time, and did a lot of things. Presently, Theresa Sauerwein right now, she's in Texas right now. She's a vice president operation for GNS Telecom, who are they are members of the Missouri Chamber of Commerce, so we have to have our members. We can brag about them whenever we can. In matter of fact, our good friend Donnie Green is the president of the company, along with him and his wife. So we are very proud of them as black business owners. But right now, Theresa, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Now, did I see your last name right again?
Can you repeat that, please?
Did I pronounce your last name right?
Sauerwein.
Okay, Sauerwein. Okay.
Yep.
Theresa, okay. Right now, Teresa's down in Texas, and she's working. The company that she works for now is very diversified. But right now, you're in Texas right now. Teresa, so tell me, Zach, what is the company doing in Texas right now?
So right now we just finished up a project where we were building fiber to the home for a larger MSO, and we are also helping that same company do some storm damage.
No, you said MSO. You got to explain what does MSO mean.
It's a multiple service operator, so it's a bigger cable company.
Okay, good.
Yes, and we're helping them do some storm damage where that storm that came through about a week and a half ago blew a lot of trees. The trees fell on the power lines, so for about the first week of storm damage, the power grid was out. Once the power grid comes up, then telephone and cable TV come back in and they restore their services. So we're helping them do that right now as well.
Okay, how many crew members do you have down in that area right now?
We've got about 20 guys here right now, between fiber splicers and aerial underground construction crews working. 3 of the crews are over doing storm damage. Rest of them are finishing up this project right now.
Okay, first of all, why don't you do us all a small favor and explain to us who is GNS Telecom?
So Donnie Green's and Denise own GNS Telecom. They've been in the business a long time. Donnie worked for cable operators. I believe he worked for Time Warner before becoming a contractor, so he was in the operator side. He's been contracting for about 20 plus years.
Yes. His
company and his crews over, the last couple of decades in different spots. They do aerial, fiber and coax, underground, direct bore trenching. Doesn't matter, what kind of underground we need to do. We do coax, fiber. I believe he does some electrical and some work in the utilities as well.
Well, I think one of the things, I've been on Donnie Green for probably about 20 years my own self, when he worked here in St. Louis, and I was giving him a contract for the city of St. Louis, and his company did some work for I think it was either AT&T in those days, Jordan, either TCF, we had all 3 of those days, but his company worked here then, and it did a lot of stuff. But I will say one thing about GNS Telecom. There are very few minority or black companies right now out there that can compare to what they do. Would you agree?
I do agree. Not only are we a minority-owned company, but we're also a women business enterprise.
Yes.
Which, from my standpoint, pretty amazing.
Yes. Now that brings me to the side here, on the female business side. Teresa, you have well, I've been in the industry myself since going back to the initial when the cable first came out. That's how I'm dating myself. Matter of fact, I saw some of the first cable in St. Louis back in those days. Then I went on to become a cable compliance specialist for the city. Notice I'll build houses here in St. Louis, for the ones and did it for 25 years. But in it, you did not see a lot of women in the industry. Would that be accurate?
That would be very accurate. Actually, I was thinking about that earlier today. One of my first jobs was in teleprompter, Newport Beach, California, and I thought it was really weird. Westinghouse owned us, and they sent a representative from New York out to California to learn about our cable system, and that representative was assigned to me. and I took her around over the cable system, and I thought, well, that's pretty
And
cool.
you got started back in 1978, okay? But you started as a file clerk, okay? So you understood how the paperwork, how to understand. One thing in the cable industry, okay, is a lot of documentation. There's a lot of files. There's a lot of permits. There's a whole lot of paperwork involved. Okay, so you sort of really from the ground up, okay? When you say that, because you got to know how things work.
Yeah, I mean, I started out as technically a file clerk, and then decided I didn't like the office, and I talked them into letting me be an installer. Wasn't a very good installer, but I loved being a service tech. I was a really good service tech.
Well, let me ask you a question. What was the hardest part, first of all, about becoming an installer? Now, install, that's the first they come to your house and install cable in your house. So what is the process for that?
For me, the hardest thing about doing the install were, Newport Beach, the houses are pretty big. And back in the 70s, there wasn't any training. My training was, okay, ride with this person for 2 days, and then here's your route, go for it.
Yeah, get your truck, they go on your own.
So you really had to teach yourself how to do things back then. So it was challenging. Because I was female, they wouldn't teach me how to climb poles. So I had to teach me how to do that, because it was easier they call it gaff a pole, where you've got hooks to use, than it was to get my ladder off my truck. So, I was only an installer for about 6 months. And then, like I said, I'm very curious. So I'd ask a million questions, and at the end of 6 months, they promoted me to a service tech, and I loved being a service tech because I love troubleshooting. Okay. Yeah.
Well, that's the one that makes the whole business run. That technician that goes out and figure out what goes on and how to make it right.
Yeah. It was
but when people out where Newport Beach, okay, was in Palm City one of the richest cities in the country, in California.
It was.
So that's where you said big houses, okay. That's Newport Beach, I've been there before. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And so now, so right now, when you became a technician, then when at that point in time, how many challenges did they have? When you installed it back in those days?
If you're an installer, you'd probably do 6 or 7 jobs a day. If you're a service tech, you'd probably do 15, 16 jobs a day. But cable was a lot simpler then. When I started in cable, we only had 16 channels. HBO hadn't even launched yet. We had to build the first light dish to pick up HBO. It was a lot easier then than it is today.
Oh, yeah. Okay, now, so now the HBO came out. That's when I kind of got involved. So I was on HBO back in those days on the satellite side. And that's how I got into the internet myself. Now, back in 1981, okay, you was designing. You were part of a team that was designing cable systems. So you came from being a clerk, being an installer to a technician. Now you designing the systems. How hard was that?
I had a very good mentor that sat down. Back then we designed with a calculator and with pencil.
Yeah.
Right. Sat down and taught me, and by the time I was 19, I was building cable systems.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was unbelievable.
It was fun, and I feel like I was incredibly blessed back then, because I fell into the job that I absolutely love in an industry that I absolutely love. I fell into it at 16 years old, which is ridiculous. I mean, who does that? So I've been incredibly blessed.
Okay, so what are some of the systems that you have worked with over the years?
Oh, geez. There's too many to, a lot of, so my first 14 years, I basically worked in Colorado, Florida, California. I helped build a lot of the Orange County and LA systems, Seal Beach, Hawthorne, Torquedale, Lawndale. Built a number of SMAP-B systems in Florida, in the West Palm area. I did work for a little bit in Colorado, but I've worked in cable systems all across the country.
Well, one of the things, okay, that they would say in those days, still today, that you almost have to call you be a gypsy, because right now, in the cable business, you gotta go, you gotta be able to travel. So how does that affect your personal life? Always on the road.
Well, I can tell you, my children would tell you it was very difficult on them. I was a single parent for most of young to in their 20s lives. So it was very hard on them. And you don't really have a personal life outside of the job and the house, kids.
Right.
So, luckily, in my 40s, I met somebody that liked having me travel a lot. So,
okay.
And really didn't feel threatened by my job or my career or my passion for what I do.
Yeah, that was another thing I was going to ask you, Theresa, because with what you were doing, okay, you were like a giant in a man's world, to be honest with you. And I looked into it myself, okay, and I saw very, very few women that actually did the work, okay. We're actually climbing the poles, we're actually doing the troubleshooting, to actually design a system. There was, in fact, you're the first one I know right now in my career that did all the things that you did.
It's there were a couple of us. I've met a lady who they actually started one of the very first cable systems in the country, and I was listening to her. I was at a conference in Washington, D.C., and I was listening to the conversation, and when her two partners left, I said, "Excuse me, ma'am, but I apologize for listening on your conversation, but can you tell me your name?" You do. So she told me back when they started the cable system, she would do the accounting, and her husband would go and run the cables. And when they got backed up on installs and the accounting was done, she would go out and do installs. So she was actually out in the field before I was, and there's not that many that have been. Back when I started, there was a handful of us. Now, we started years ago, probably 15 years ago, through the Society of Cable Telecommunication Engineers. We started a women's mentoring program where, some of us old gals would mentor young ladies that, wanted to get into the engineering or construction side and weren't quite sure how to navigate the waters. That's been a really successful program. So there's a lot of women in our industry today that will get out in the field and do exactly what we do. One of my good friends watched me do it, and she told me years later, she said, I figured if you can do it, I can do it too. So, my path, and, was it a tough road? Yes. Is it still tough sometimes? Absolutely. I still run into those that I don't belong out here. But
I guess right now, Theresa, on the crew right now, okay, the Green and Sons, of the crew that you have right now, would be down in Texas. How many on that crew are females?
None. We have a person. You don't see a lot. Well, there's more than there used to be.
You're right.
Um,
Now, also, when you first got started, okay, one of the things that you and I both can share that there have been a lot of consolidations in the companies over the years. The smaller company have eaten up by the little bitty company and vice versa. And
yes.
so right now, one of the noise coming at night is, even operators, I should say, the operators right now is Comcast. So how did you end up being at Comcast? You was in California, okay, and Comcast was on the East Coast. How did you guys come together?
Well, because when I was in California, I worked for Group W Cable, and Comcast bought Group W Cable. We were the only California system that they had. And I was actually running their construction department for Southern California at the time.
Wow.
And, yes, but I always knew as a kid, once I got into cable, my goal was to be corporate engineering. To be corporate engineering, you've got to be in Philadelphia. So when John Cope came up on the East Coast, then I applied for them. So I ended up in New Jersey as the tech ops manager for their Burlington Bordentown system in New Jersey. And so, but they had bought the company that I was working for.
Okay, so now you became, I guess that's one of your goals was to come in as technical operations manager. Now, what all does that entail in that title? What do you do?
You just run the cable system. You get you're running the installation group, the warehousing, the converter room, the construction group, the service techs, the line techs, making sure that the head end, which is the source of all your signals for the cable system, is at peak performance at all times.
So, why don't you kind of explain we're gonna have some fun here, okay? Why don't we have fun here, and kind of do some education, okay? Exactly what is the head end?
The head end's the brains of the cable system. So you've got satellite dishes outside that receive channels from obviously satellites. You've got a tower out there, antennas on it. All of those come down into cables. They go into the head end, and the head end processes everything. So back in the day, we processed everything analog and put it, then you take the channels, you combine them, put them through an amplifier, put them out as RF. Radio frequency is the signal that goes out on the cable lines to distribute it through the cable system. So the head end is the brains.
Okay, and then from there they connected that to the homes.
That's correct.
Okay, and then there was where you had your channels. You had content where you had CNN or Christian Network, whatever channel that you wanted. They had to go through the head end and then go out to the consumer.
Yep.
To the subscriber.
Yeah, we collect them at the head end and then combine them and then put it out on the distribution. The distribution feeds the customers.
Okay. Now, that was then, okay, when they were using really coax cable, which is low voltage cable. So right now, you had maybe about 40, 50 channels at that time you would actually were dealing with. Would that be accurate?
No, by then we had a couple hundred channels.
Okay. And I remember a gentleman by the name of John Malone, who in those days was one of the creators of TCI, the TCI cable, and he predicted. Go ahead.
I said, yes, I know Mr. Malone.
But you know him?
Yes.
Okay. And he was in those days was called Mr. Cable. Would that be accurate?
I believe he was, but I worked for Mr. Roberts at the time.
Okay. Was this with Roberts here in St. Louis?
No, Ralph Roberts was Comcast Philadelphia.
Okay. So right now, okay, you work with John Malone, and you're right now working with all the major owners right now I guess you call them titans in the industry. So how was that when you in that position, okay, making those decisions? How was you? Was you received by all those guys?
I think quite well. I did a good job for them. So I believe I was fine.
Okay. And again, in that position, you saw very few females again.
There were very few, yes. Yeah, the East Coast
Go ahead.
took the East Coast a little while to warm up to the idea that there was a female tech manager in place. California was a little bit more, well,
More liberal.
yeah.
Okay, that's why they were more liberal. Okay.
Well, they were used to me, I started.
Well, no. That was your home. Well, let me ask you a question. I know I have not met you face to face, okay? But how tall are you?
5'8".
Okay. So you were not no little itty bitty woman then. So you were taller than some guys, average height, so to speak.
Yes. I was tough.
Okay. So why don't you tell some of the crazy story that you had to deal with, when once you got into a position, okay, that you were actually the boss, okay, of all the technicians as operations, technical operation manager that ran, the whole operation from the installer to the technicians. How did that make you feel when you finally accomplished that?
Dealing with challenges of being female, I've dealt with my whole career. And I made a point to learn everything I could about everything I could, because whether they want me there or not, once I start working and once I start talking, they're not sure what to do with me. They just kind of look at me and say, how could you know that much about that and still know that much about that? But because that's what I do. And I have no problem, even when I was corporate engineering in Philadelphia, I have no problem getting out in the field and with the guys. I support the Society of Cable Television, Telecommunication Engineers. We're a training arm for the industry. And I join every board everywhere that I live. They're really regional chapters. I join everywhere I live because, one, I like to know the folks in the industry that live in the same area, and I'm a definite proponent to training and sharing information and working with people. And I have absolutely no problem getting out in the field and working with the guys. My job before I came to work for Donnie was in sales, and it kind of shocked my customers when I would show up and actually install their equipment for them and explain it to them and train them on it. So I guess I overcome the challenges by trying to be the best partner that those around me can have.
Theresa, I recall when I was working, back in the days, so to speak, that one of the things is that most of the guys out there, because I was considered, on management end, you know what I mean, and although I worked in the schools that trained installers and did all that stuff, so I knew the industry, okay. But the guys out there they were not too quick, okay, to share information with you. I mean, it's like they felt the information is power. I'm not going to deny that, okay. And that's what gave you the leverage, okay, to get you where you are now. Would it be accurate?
Yeah, and I think the cable industry, the reason we did so well and grew so fast is because we do share information. Whether I work for your company or not, I may have I may have solved a problem that you're experiencing in your system.
Right.
Or you may have solved something and I need that information. And, I think that we are, at least from a technical standpoint, we're in this, that we do talk to each other. We, most of us, because you could not learn this in school, because the technology was so new, we learned it on the job. And,
Okay, I guess what I was saying to you, I was saying that they would not want to share with anybody outside the industry, or what is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, we don't have industry.
Right. Because I remember a lot of times I would have meetings and and they would come to my office, City Hall, and sometimes they were surprised, okay, particularly would be very surprised that I knew so much about even to my own self, okay. They thought, you guys have the same idea, but I had worked with the installers, I worked with the technician. I got them through school and read all the technology. Well, I did anything but climb the pole, okay, so I understood the language what they were talking about. They always would tell you, this is too complicated, and people would take that, okay, and take that as fact. But once you understand it, it's not that difficult. It's the same everywhere you go. Just repeat the same process over and over again.
Yep. I agree with that.
Okay, and that's the part that people didn't understand. And I guess right now, Theresa, from now, okay, I got it here. So you were saying that you was 40 years old and you got married. Okay, that took your career from there. After you got married, what happened? Well, tell us about your husband, that he was the type of man who was not intimidated by you.
No, he really wasn't. He was 6'6". He was
okay.
He played for the Flyers, so he was a professional hockey player.
Okay.
And he had his own life, and he supported my career, and by then my kids were grown and gone, and I was contracting by the time that I met him. And, I would spend 30, 60
days. You said contractor, so how does that, does that mean? That mean you have your own company, am I right?
No, I was working for a different contractor.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd actually, because of the amount of hours and having teenage kids at home, I actually had to leave Comcast to quit traveling.
Okay.
And get my kids raised. And so while I was doing that, I went to work for a contracting company.
Okay.
I did not travel until my kids were, on their own again.
Okay.
And then once they were, then I went back to traveling. But mostly if I was gone 30, 60, 90 days, it was because of storm damage, whether it was Katrina or, we're the ones that go in after hurricanes and put the system back together. So,
Okay, why are we talking about that? Okay, Theresa. When you said, you used the word storm damage, which right now in the industry we call it storm chasers, people that chase the storms or the tornadoes. Exactly what all those, what is required, I should say, how many women do you see doing that, by the way?
There's a few. There are challenges to being on the road constantly for women, but that doesn't mean that there aren't those out there that figure out how to do it.
Well, I admire you, okay, for taking the time to be a good mother and raise your kids, okay, and so I guess the question I have to ask you, how many of your kids followed your lead and got into the gig industry?
The truth is, I wouldn't let any of them.
Oh, okay. Well, why not?
It took it's especially in the beginning, it's tough. I mean, for 16 years, I worked 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I mean, it's a
Wow.
my kids, when they were young teenagers, knew how to wheel distance, because when I was building fiber networks, I was actually doing all the engineering of them as well. So my kids to wheel from pole to pole and read the pole numbers off to me and the size of the pole.
Oh, wow.
Who owned it, and that's what they do on the weekends. It's a great life for a teenager. But I really didn't follow my path. I fell in love with cable when I was 17 years old. I wanted them to fall in love with whatever they wanted to. So I have 3 children. None of them followed my path. I have 2 and 3/4 grandchildren, and I doubt they'll do cable either. So.
Okay. Well, Theresa, I have 3 girls, okay, and none of them, actually, they all got. I'm like you. I want them to do what made them happy, not be like ours. You know what I'm saying? And I will admit they all chose their own path, okay, to do what they want to do that made them happy, and they all successfully in their fields right now, and they're happy married right now, and they didn't get in the industry that I've got into, okay. So I understand what you're saying there, okay.
Yep.
Because it's not a life, okay, like you said, 17-hour days. Like right now, I know here in St. Louis, most recently, this past Saturday, I did a show like I'm doing now, and I do my show at 5 o'clock also in Kansas City. We get come to Kansas City, and the evening about 10 o'clock, about midnight, my service was out because of the storm that Saturday night, and I was without service until 4th of July at 10 o'clock. And I saw crews, okay, from all over the country out here in my neighborhood, I talked to the guy, the linemen, the tree trimmers, okay. And I always said, where you from, okay? And they were from all over the country. And so I can understand, okay, that's not a life, okay, that you want your kids, some of the holidays with their family, with their family. And not be in a hotel someplace, with some guys, climbing the poles all day long. Taking their chin. And also, we forgot that in those days and like today, although it's low powered voltage in a cable line, but you still have a certain risk that go with it, okay? Because you're around high power line. How about some of the risks that's associated with the business?
Well, with the storm damage, some of the risks some of the challenges.
With the storm damage, yes.
Yeah, the challenges are, the guys have to be very careful. We are low powered, and if it's a fiber line, there's generally no power on it at all. But an actual power line, secondary or primary, can fall down and lay on your cable a mile down.
Yes.
And that electrical current is going to run through your cable. So if they're not extremely careful, water is a wonderful conductor. It could be laying in a pool or next to a lake and induce electrical current through the whole area. So this challenge is making sure that the power company has everything off the ground, off of your strand. So I really believe that's the biggest difficulty. We generally lose someone, or in the past, we lose somebody every storm, because these guys are, storm damage, and this is why a lot of the guys will only work storm damage. It pays really well. The company that pays the most gets the most crews, gets their system back up the quickest. So a lot of these guys do chase storms because they can work 3 months and make enough money to support their family for a year.
Okay. Well, just for a stick conversation, give us like the average, hourly wage they be paid in some cases.
Well, when you're doing storm damage, it's a unit. It's generally not hourly. Picked by units, depending on what the task is.
Teresa, it's kind of funny, okay? But as we have this conversation right now, okay? I have Hammer UE trucks out in front of my house, okay? Still doing storm damage. That's in my neighborhood, and I got 3 trucks right now, 4 trucks right now that's on my block. The airmen here now that's still doing storm damage right now from the storm we had last Saturday. And so that's just goes to show you, how long a person goes out, they're not sure when they're going to get back home.
That's correct. And
Wow.
it's crucial. I was managing some crews in New Orleans after one of the hurricanes, and my tech there ran out of a certain kind of material. So I told him, come back to the warehouse and pick it up, and he's like, I can't. I said, what do you mean you can't? The customer literally moved her vehicle and blocked him in so that he could not leave until her service was back on. Because you figure this is how they get information on what's going on around them.
Right.
And I told him, no problem, I'll run the parts out to you. But she literally blocked him in.
Yeah, I know. Well, I've seen that on my block, okay? Some people, some of my neighbors, okay? And I said, during that time period, the heat makes you do certain things that you normally don't do.
Yeah. The heat and no information.
Teresa, right now, Teresa, you and I we're working together for many years to come because Donnie and I are doing some things together, okay? And I hate to have project, Missouri, here in St. Louis, in Missouri, and some of the education on some of the stuff like that. And you and I be talking more about this. I want to thank you for taking the time on your busy day, okay? Okay, take the time today to visit with us on Let's Connection and Commerce and share some of your stories about life, okay, and educate us about this. And you definitely will be back many more times, okay? Anything you want to say before you leave us?
No, I appreciate your having me on your show. And I appreciate Donnie volunteering me.
Okay.
It was really nice meeting him.
Okay, well, right now, this is funny. I'm on the air right now, and they're going to my back. So, but Theresa, I want to thank you so much right now. Okay, we got another guest right now. But that's Theresa Sauerwein. Did I get it right that time?
Yes, it is. Theresa Sauerwein. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Theresa. I love you. And we'll be talking last week. Be safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, now let's listen to Lunch Missouri Chamber of Commerce on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. Name's our host. That's Theresa. That's God. That's real. That's good. We have to take it out of here. You listen to Lunch with Missoula Commerce on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. You got the 8. My name is Aaron Folks, host along with Reverend Alan Lyles and Scott Owen. And today we are more than honored, okay, to have one of my very good longtime friends, Mr. MC Richardson, as our guest today. Mr. MC Richardson is a legend in his own time. He started one of the United Minority Media Association is the oldest black media association in the country. Come on back. He's going on 50 years old this year, right, MC?
Right. I'm glad you said legend in my own time, because I wonder about that a lot.
Well, when you're a legend, okay. So right now, MC, just tell us a little bit about what Yuma, what it does, and who Yuma is.
Okay, United Minority Media Association was incorporated in the state of Missouri on August 28, 1974. We were founded May 11, 1974. And the main objective is to get more minorities who have been left out into mainstream media.
Mm-hmm.
And by doing it, there was only 2 entities besides Yuma that started this organization, and that was KPRS and the Kansas City Call, and then Yuma. So we have a few people with the Kansas City Star as employees. So we brought them together how we could probably hook up and get the word out, because there was not too much communication between the people, just a very few that was in the business. The 2 major black entities was the KPRS and the Kansas City Call. And then you had Yuma that we comprised of different people in school, with education, with experience or what have you. So we brought them together in order to increase the participation of minority and multicultural people into, we're talking about broadcast, we're talking about journalism, advertising, public relations, marketing, and any related media areas.
Now, you see, when you say KPRS, okay, tell us about their history, their legendary history, who they are in the industry right now.
Well, KPRS now is Carter Broadcast, and they were the first black-owned radio station west of the Mississippi. If my notes are right, I think black radio had its establishment in Atlanta, Georgia. But speaking of today, it started out with 2 or 3 stations. It's my understanding, Carter Broadcast has 4 radio stations. So that's quite an accomplishment here in Kansas City for black or ethnic radio.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, matter of fact, in the Call newspaper, you mentioned them. Also, tell us a little bit about the history of the Call newspaper.
Right, the Call newspaper was one. Matter of fact, the first woman that so happened was a woman of color, Lena Rivers Smith. She worked for the Kansas City Call, and she was able to crack the barrier and work for WDF TV. So she was the first woman and the first black to break into television here in Kansas City.
And what year was that, if you recall?
Now we're going back there, aren't we?
Yeah.
Well, we were in 1974, so it had to be 2 or 3 years probably. I got information around here, but I didn't have it bring it out. But she was back in the 70s.
Yeah. Well, that's around the time myself, okay. I got into radio myself, okay, around about 1976, station here in St. Louis, KBDY, where I became the youngest black general manager in the country back in those days, my own self. So that was about the time and that blacks were starting to get into radio. And also now with KPOS, okay, they are a legend. You know, that's Dakota Broadcasting itself. Okay, that's a family that you were very intimate with because you know the whole family. You know, yeah. Today you guys do call them, am I right?
Right, but let's back up on KPRS, Colored People Radio Station. A lot of people would say that really had its start in Kansas. Okay, then they moved over to Missouri, and they had a guy they normally don't mention, but Ed Tate, and they mentioned Psyche Pate, that they were married. They started KPRS in Kansas City, Missouri, from the state of Kansas. And they had it going for a long time. The present owners, the Carters, they came way past when we're talking about Ed Tate, we're talking about Jimmy Jones, we're talking about Psyche Pate, we're talking about people, we're talking about Chuck Moore, we're talking about people that they used to have a request show every day at 3:30 where people in high school, they would try to jump out of class just to hear the request show or make their requests.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, another good friend of ours passed away. Tim Richardson also was back in those days. I think Tim was one of the pioneers who was going on. You know, there was also was part of humor back in those days. You know, matter of fact, I know in those days, I became involved with we met, I should say, with the National Black Media Association. Am I right, MC?
Right. That's that was under Courier Marshall up at Silver Springs, Maryland. But Tim Richardson had worked with it. Well, he was with Wyandotte High School. That was a rival, not really a rival, but that was one of the top schools in Kansas City. And Tim Richardson had a real good background, and they said very talented. He started and they got him in the TV, they got him in the newspaper, and he made quite a mark. And in fact, he established, I don't know if he established the name, but there was another person in California called the Action Reporter. That was given to Tim here in Kansas City, and everybody knew the Action Reporter, and he would just crack cases and things.
Mm-hmm. No, he was a hell of a guy, you know. Well, you know, hell of a guy, you know, and we kind of traveled together to D.C. and back in the Congress in those days, because I was in charge of the St. Louis market. You know, I met Troy, how we met, okay. But he found me, I found him, okay, and he asked me to, you know, establish the market in St. Louis. And the first off, he gave me a sort of modest, and I said, I'm legend in this time. Mr. Richard, you do humor, okay? You was in charge of everything west of the Mississippi, am I right?
Well, repeat what you said, sir.
Okay, in those days, you was a regional vice president for the National Media Association. I said you was in charge of everything west of the Mississippi for the most part, except for Oakland, California, am I right?
Right.
You know, we have in Oakland because Previous brother was out in Oakland. But all the states, you know, west of the Mississippi, okay, they were, you was the person. And in those days, if people understand, the National Media Association, if you was in radio, newspaper, television, and then cable, okay, and that's when being a minority, okay, you could go to the radio station, they would hire minority personnel to be on the air, you know, in their newsrooms.
Okay, let's go back to Courier Marshall.
Sure.
Courier Marshall from Houston, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
He was, I guess, a famed photographer.
Mm-hmm.
So he started, in fact, when they humor, and then what we call that? The Black Media Coalition.
Well,
Black Jews.
what happened, they got together, and that's how the formulation of the National Blacks in Journalism. But they're in fact, they were 18 months junior to the United Minority Media Association, which the black journalists had their initial start in Philadelphia of people in the workforce. During that time, unless you worked in journalism, they didn't accept people in public relations. But now they
no. Oh, yeah, I know that for a fact. Yeah.
But then after that, and now they started getting a lot of people in television, so that gave them a lot of visibility.
Mm-hmm.
And they got the start. And at that time, you had the biggest sponsors were other radio and TV conglomerates. They took care of all the initiation. But nowadays, the people in those professions that have the opportunity, they have to do it on their own now. They don't get that corporate sponsorship like they used to.
Then you see, correct me if I'm wrong, but the young lady that's on Fox News right now, Miss Faulkner, she come to the United Minority Media Association, Yuma.
You said the Fox Association?
Yeah, with Fox News, Miss Faulkner, she's.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Now they done sold the station so many times. I forget the name of it now. She's with overall Fox. Harriet Faulkner.
Right, Harriet. Right. Yeah. Yeah, she's one of the proteges, for lack of a better description. Okay, that came out of Yuma.
Well, she was around the same time. We had rubbed shoulders, I guess, real close that she was a member, but she, at that time, Channel 4 had changed ownership, like so many of the stations would do it at a moment notice, and she's up there with the major Fox News. Now, they don't even call it Fox News. They might call it locally, but they call it WDAF Channel 4 now.
Right, yeah. And, one of the things, MC, in those, in fact, even today, I'm happy I still mentioned you on time. You have successfully have people that were members of Yuma, then their kids came along, and Yuma got them jobs in the media also. So when they get their parents into the industry also, am I right?
So to speak.
Well, I can think of one right now. Candace Price. We call it Candy Hubbard. Price Hubbard.
Well, you had a Daisy Price that married to Carl Price. Was the one that really developed my mic. That was a minority youth majored in communication. She was the one that was very skilled in the production side of the media. And they used to put on different spring shows or whatever, and they call it the inner city then, where they would go into junior high schools or whatever, and they would expose the people to what makings are, all the things that made up broadcast and journalism.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, that's why I said, media, in Kansas City, in the United Minority Media Association, were very, almost like, went hand in hand. And if they weren't part of Yuma, okay, they had family members or somebody that they were associated with Yuma, in the Kansas City area,
Well, they gave us that credit that in order to that we really made things happen as far as
people of, now they say people of color. It was black then, but we was the one that set the course for getting other people, inspired radio and TV and newspaper to get more people into the profession.
Yeah, I know. When I was fortunate enough, okay, to be with you for years, and I also got a plaque right now of some years ago. You guys, I still have it. Available in my home, okay, and I know I got some other houses that you gave me. But we go back at least 40 years when you said MC.
Well, I think you might be fudging a little bit, but in the same token, it might be a little bit more 40 years. We used to meet with the National Black Media Coalition. Matter of fact, we had an initial start. You had the opportunity for us to get closer, that you took the opportunity to be part of our suite, and that happened a few years.
Yeah. In those days when we got there, okay, we had our suites in DC for the conference, okay, which were very much a memorable. We had a great time together, So, but I guess MC, one of the things, okay, about that was with humor right now is that you still have a radio show that you started. Guess who come to Kansas City? Tell us about that.
Okay, how that started, I was trying to do a show, and Guess Who's Coming to Kansas City. It really came from Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Okay. And then a few months ago, they said how that became a reality. It was a guy of African descent, and he was in love with this Caucasian woman, and her father was part of the Johnson administration. Now, I'm trying to think of his name, but he was there, and he did not want, he thought he would lose his job by messing with, I guess, a Negro. But they got married, and Sidney Poitier, Spencer Tracy, the Elsa one, they started Guess Who's Coming to Dinner.
And from there, okay, Guess Who's Coming to Kansas City? Got his name. And yeah, matter of fact, you still broadcast that today. Matter of fact, on our station now, every Friday, every Saturday at 5 o'clock.
I didn't catch. I was trying to cut this up, and I didn't catch that.
I said right now, Guess Who's Coming to Kansas City right now, starting on KKFI. And I'm saying you're president now broadcasting on our station now every Saturday at 5 p.m. from 5 to 6 every Saturday on our station here.
Right. What happened? We have different changes of Guess Who's Coming to Kansas City. At that time, it was KKFI, and that didn't happen. So the best thing ever happened to us when we left them or they left us, and we moved to Ferguson, USA Hot Talk Radio. But we've been in existence going on 35 years, and we are the oldest radio station doing that. But we had other people, like in Philadelphia, people that when Will Smith was just a kid, and anybody who was anything about radio and TV, we would touch base with them normally when we used to meet with the National Black Media Coalition. And basically, it was in Washington, D.C., but we were in Houston. We were down in New Orleans on the canal and what have you. And we continued to grow. And like now, what has happened, a lot of people have really benefited because of just the inkling, if that's correct, about that made it. We had a lot of situations that a lot of people went through union when we had the workshops and things like that. And they would, their peers, they would get in the media and they would go another direction. They didn't just stick with the organization. But we know now how it really got started. And a lot of people, but you spoke with Tim Richardson. It was a young lady that was Tim Richardson's secretary by the name of T.T. Williams. T.T. Williams went on to New York. She went on national. She was the one for really paving the road for Jesse Jackson here in Kansas City. When she and her family got in with Jesse Jackson, then he became a person that was very much accepted here. And you know how far he went from Kansas City to other parts of the world.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. See, now you understand what I said. Lived in your own time, okay? And I'm just happy to know I got to call you a friend. You know, and like even this afternoon at 5 o'clock, we will be on the air together at 5 p.m. today. So it's who I guess for today's program.
Yeah, we got a tremendous show planned, and we cover different parts of the country. And we plan to, we're talking about Kingfish, Oklahoma. And we're talking about Kansas City. We're talking about people who was once the president of all the black cosmetologists in the nation. And we hopefully will be talking to her and people here. She's in Kingfisher now. And we got a big family reunion called the Salads /Salads. It'll be on the Black Wall Street and off of the Black Wall Street. It'll be the Cherokee Nation, their reservation, their casino, the picnic, and we're really planning, and that's growing. And hopefully it'll grow even further and inspire more people throughout.
And we'll be broadcasting live that week also on privilegeusa.com.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Richards, I want to thank you for your time. As I got, to enlighten us a little bit on history about communication in general. Okay, so matter of fact, so right now, I want to thank you for joining us. I will be talking to you very shortly. Okay, but thank you so much for giving us the time today.
Well, it's our pleasure, sir.
Well, thank you, sir, and I wish you good. I look forward to you very shortly.
Okay.
Bye-bye now. Okay, I'm back now with lots of human commerce, and we have had a interesting show today, gentlemen. Would you say so?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and like Scott, you and I do this every Saturday. We do 2 shows every Saturday. And like I said, even while we was on the air, I got Youngman outside now we're doing outage checks right now in my neighborhood. But the good part about this, I want to thank Miss Theresa Sauerwein for her to be a legendary woman in our own industry in cable communications. And then have Mr. Jesse Richardson. We have had 2 legends today on our program that have changed our industries in each case for the better. You know, and I just want to thank you. But also now, I'd like to make the fact that this on August, you know, right here, where we have our national 123rd conference in Atlanta, Georgia, for the National Chamber of Commerce and for the National Business League, and also for the Conference of Black Mayors, and also for the Black Business Association. We meet in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'll be in touch, and that's why Chuck B. Bowl, who is the CEO of the Joint Chamber of Commerce, is traveling to Atlanta today. That's why he's not on the air today. He'll be joining us next week or so. But I want to and Theresa for stepping in. But right now, the conference right now, okay, you know, we're looking forward to it, and you know, but a lot is going on in you know, in our community right now, in media right now. As we all aware, Supreme Court has made a lot of changes that's been detrimental to the black community, in my opinion. With the recent decision they have made, and I think right now that's why, you know, it's worth you listen to us every Saturday, and our program can also be found on YouTube, Twitch, and also on Twitch, and also on Spotify, and also on most of your podcasts. Just have putting in Lunch with Military and Commerce. That's Lunch with the Military and Commerce. Lunch with the Military and Commerce. And you can get us, you know, our programs, you know, go back for years and years, and keep abreast of what we be doing. But Rev, what are your thoughts on today's program?
On the money.
Rev, I think that goes to say, along with your message today, that you was very much on the money. And also, in regards to our conference that we have in Atlanta, you're welcome to attend. You can go to the look it up, find out about it by going online. You can Google it, and that will be here's that information for you right here. And right now, this is something that all three organizations I just mentioned to you were all created in the vein about the related with Washington, who created so many different things, okay, that we take for granted today. And so this is why this conference that we have right now, okay, it's going to be a very beautiful week that we're going to have. We're going to have a tour to the Booker Washington Tuskegee tour. We have a Black Tie Awards Gala. I mean, also this is going to be for businesses and businesses. We have a buyer, supplier mismatch in the expo going to be available to us. And also we have some Fortune 500 connections available to attendees. And also we have some network opportunities. And of course, here that's going to be very, very important, okay, that we have import and export, commerce and trade, panel discussions and workshops. And this is just the coming together of all these organizations. And we, right now, this is the largest, this country's, the nation's largest conference of black business in United States history right now. We're all coming together now, for the one umbrella. We're not trying to, challenge each other, but work together as a team. And I'm happy to say that our leader, Chucky Bo, has been very instrumental in putting this together along with his other leaders from other organizations. And we're just very proud, okay, to say this is coming together. And naturally, we will give you more information, have some of this, the guests will be attended as guests on our program between now and then. But right now, on that note, I'm going to tell you, thank you for joining Lunch with the Military and Commerce for a beautiful Saturday afternoon here in the city of St. Louis, and not just St. Louis, but Ferguson, Missouri, Arnold, Missouri, and also from down in Texas, and also from Kansas City. Our program, on any given Saturday, you're going to learn something you did not know before. On that note, my name is our folks here with the Military and Commerce, and that's Reverend Alan Lyles. Of the one of our Bible Show Church, okay? And that's Scott Owens, General Manager, CEO, and all that, and all of Ferguson USA HotTalkRadio.com. And also, and what's the real estate company, Scott, that you have also that you work with?
Well, I'm part of the HSG real estate company downtown in St. Louis. I specialize in leases.
You cracking up, Scott. See you guys here again.
All right, I'm part of the HSG Hun Sharp Group real estate business over on 1305 Washington Avenue in St. Louis. I do specialize in leases, and I'm a military relocation professional.
Well, one thing he said in his real estate field, okay, he specialized in leasing also. There's the people who sell, he does sales and leasing. That's very important, okay? And like I said now, okay, he's a veteran, a Reverend Lau veteran, MC Richard was a veteran, so I'm a son of a veteran. But right now, we're going to call it a day and a week. Thank you for joining us much in coverage for a beautiful set of snow. We can be heard again tomorrow at 1 p.m. to 3 in FreemasonUSAHotTopics.com, and also again on Wednesday. Thank you for joining us. My name is Al Fortes, Scott Death Rep. I'll be good to talk to you again next week. Got to get out of here.
Amen.